Hey y'all, welcome to the Breach and Attack Simulation Weekly Update for the week of May 16th, 2023. For those who don't know me, hi, my name is Aaron, and I'm a staff incubation engineer at GitLab, and I work on the Breach and Attack Simulation single engineer group. So, with May 16th comes the sort of wrap up of getting into the 16.0 milestone, a major milestone and major release for GitLab. And I'm pretty excited to be introducing the Breach and Attack Simulation CI/CD template for GitLab. This template's going to add some new features and add some future supports for different security scanners, but I'll get straight into the demo portion of my update. So if we drop into the demo video, we can see there, as shown previously, there's a configuration section in the security configuration page in your project. If you then go to the configuration guide as an ultimate user, you can see that there's a guide for extending your DAST configuration to include breach and attack simulation features. What this will do is this will pull in the GitLab CI/CD templates, as I mentioned, by including it in your configuration in different ways. Once you've included it in your configuration, it will either pull in DAST, the latest DAST template if you haven't already pulled the DAST template in, or if it's detected that you're using DAST, it will go ahead and only append additional variables on top of your job. Off the back of this, we can see that I've added in multiple hidden jobs, and so those hidden jobs, they add variables in and they override the image for DAST. So I will use a future build of DAST, which includes additional breach and attack simulation features. And there's a services container. There's a services hidden job, and if you use the DAST with BAS using services hidden job, what that will do is that will give you additionally, it will define a service container for callbacks, where we will listen to traffic coming from your application in test. So that just goes through and we connect to the service and we enable some feature flags for network connectivity in your runner if your runner's default configuration doesn't allow for container-to-container networking. Off the back of that, we can see that we have the finding here and we've escalated the severity for this particular finding to critical because we've been able to perform code injection and get a callback attack. This code injection vulnerability here, I'm putting in a vulnerable test application. And we can see that upon sending it a payload, which includes a unique correlation ID based on the location I'm sending it to and the configuration of the job, we can see that we get back a callback, and so we've tested that out-of-band application security testing. We've performed that. And we can see that we've verified a callback, so that makes the particular attack successful, and we're able to say it is a critical finding because an attacker would have been able to execute arbitrary code and call back to the server in this case. The different attacks, so if this was a different type of vulnerability such as like entity injection, that may not be critical. But initially in this, what we've done is for code injection, we've added support in for performing callback attacks and proving arbitrary execution, which we surface as additional details inside of your security report. So that wraps up the breach and attack simulation CI/CD template. Go through the documentation or add any feedback if there's anything missing in the documentation. I would love your input there. Outside of that, new opportunities that I've identified. Bartek had mentioned to myself to reach out to Sri for CloudSeed. Sri is the incubation engineer that running the CloudSeed incubation engineering seg. And so the CloudSeed seg has support for Google Cloud and sort of bringing up Google Cloud resources and configuring those resources with little knowledge about infrastructure as code. And so as a workflow and doing asset discovery and reconnaissance as breach and attack simulation, this flows really well with what I'm doing. And so we've had a great conversation, and I've got some great next steps for the reconnaissance piece, where if you connect your project to GitLab, you can then in the future you'll be able to use BAS to enumerate your attack surface through GCP or other cloud providers going forward. Talking about next focuses then, shipping scan option metrics is still one of my top of mind items. This is something that would sort of enable all this has been enabled in a previous version in the 15.11 milestone. This got shipped. But right now, it's just a really good supportability use case where if a customer sends us a security report, we're able to see information about their scanning options if security analyzers have enabled that. But there's no sort of telemetry around this yet, and that's something I look forward to doing and helping out. And there's been some collaboration there from myself and other engineers in Secure. Starting next up, I'm going to be starting to implement a asset and domain discovery job. So getting a sort of workflow that I mentioned in my conversation with CloudSeed, having a workflow where you can configure a job that does that enumeration for you and enumerates what your attack surface might look like from the cloud provider perspective around what public facing instances you may have or public DNS zones that you have, and doing that enumeration with a sort of from a trusted perspective, we're able to see more than what an attacker may potentially see, and then us being able to sort of highlight, saying, "Hey, this we've found this asset, and this one it has a public DNS name and it has an SSL certificate." So there's sort of highlighting how things have been discovered and how attackers may get to the reconnaissance piece of the kill chain, as opposed to showing like the exploitation down at the end. So this is going back all the way to the beginning of the kill chain to show people, hey, this is what we can discover, and highlighting that risk for folks. As always, if there's any feedback, please go ahead and drop comments in any of my issues. There's especially the feedback issue for adding general feedback and any feedback and issues that you've had with testing it if you're an Ultimate user who's been able to use the DAST extension so far. Thanks, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye.